Hunter x Hunter episode 133. Now, in long words short, this episode wasn't that exciting, but at the same time, it wasn't that stale. We got a lot of information, and from the looks of it, it seems like this arc will be wrapping up very soon. So the two main things that we've seen in this episode is one, Yuppie's death, and the other is that all the Chimera ants, including the king, are beginning to die. Now, we don't know how this happened. In my theory, it looks like it has something to do with Netero, because towards the end of the episode, we keep getting references from the fight between Netero and Meruem and the rose explosion that happened in the end. So maybe that has something to do with it, but that's just my theory. So overall, just starting from the beginning of the episode, essentially this episode, a majority of it was just a Welfin-centric episode. We could see Welfin is still struggling with his demons, and he decides that he's done with his life as a Chimera ant and wants to go and see Gyro. So he gets a last-ditch message from Calgo to go deliver to the king, in efforts for, Calgo and Palm's plan to come into fruition. So he's on his way to do that, but then he runs into Yuppie, okay? He sees the weakened Yuppie, and he begins to question Yuppie about his past and if he remembers anything. Of course, Yuppie replies with insults, and then Welfin, finally grows, a pair, and he's thinking right now, I can kill Yuppie right now, and regain my pride as a human like I was. And then Yuppie somehow dies. We find out that Yuppie's dead. It was kind of lackluster, his death, but obviously, like, what do you expect at this point? So we don't really know if he was killed by a Welfin, because you get to see his nose bleeding towards the end, and we also know that all the Chimera ants are starting to die all of a sudden. So we don't know if it was done by a Welfin. And then also another plot point was Poof. We get to see that Poof, is in the middle of a crisis right now. There's no P2 in sight. Yuppie's dead, and the king is one step closer to remembering Komagi. And on top of that, Poof is dying as well. So Poof is really in the cinch right here, and it doesn't look like anyone's gonna help him. Also, we also see that the king's nose was bleeding at one point. So I think that's kind of suggests that Palm's plan or whatever to kill the king is true, and that the king will die in a few hours. So overall, not much excitement in this episode, but a lot of information, and it seems like the arc is gonna wrap up pretty soon. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and rate.
Brand new whip for these niggas like slavery. Told me I was awful and that shit did not faze me. Tell me how I suck again, my memory is hazy.